Well, last video was one heck of a ride. Get ready to hate me again! So people have been talking about Sonic 06. Again. You have no idea how tired I am of it. Talking smack about Sonic 06 feels like beating a dead horse. Weird plot, half-baked level designs, rush mechanics, etc. The only person who has brought something new to the table is Thor Heels. Shout out to Thor Heels! He's a great YouTuber. Probably. The only new thing I can bring to the table is talk about Mephiles. I despise Mephiles as a villain. He's just the most bland, boring villain that exists out of the blue, and only later does he have any motivations. I like Infinite a lot more, not gonna lie. Now that this is said, this is less a video about Sonic 06 and more about the context surrounding it and my personal experience. You know what, I'll just put the credits here. We didn't start the fire, but Shadow did, cause he is an a-hole. We didn't start the fire, but Shadow did, cause he is the worst. So I have read about Sonic Adventure 2 Battle in a GameCube magazine that I have talked about earlier. The game as a whole, including the Chao Garden, looked really interesting. So I decided to ask for it for my birthday.
Les trois sont nés, le trône est sans roi.
Sonic le rebelle, Sonic le rebelle.
The only previous Sonic experience I had was Sonic Underground, which shared until Atunes was actually really popular. Like legend, most kids my age knew about it. Also, in order to make you understand my perspective, I'm going to talk about Mario Sunshine a bit. Mario Sunshine was a big disappointment for me. More simplified controls, less interesting level designs, and a story that was overall very meh. You can't even ride a green Yoshi, that's how disappointing that was. I enjoy Flood itself though. And like most other Nintendo games in Quebec, it was all in English. So when I played Sonic Adventure 2 Battle, it was mind-blowing. Big budget cutscenes, actual French subtitles and menus, great level designs, and the Chao Garden. This game alone made me hyperfixate on Sonic for 7 years. I explored this entire franchise with my autistic lens and made friends along the way, while Newgrounds and its fan animations just made things easier for fans to connect. After buying Sonic Heroes, Shadow came out and I was hyping it until it retconned a ton of stuff and had plenty of glitches. It felt meh to me overall. Like Sonic Heroes, which I enjoyed a lot, and more with Action Replay because, you know, I get to have all the Chaos Emeralds with no effort. Then Sonic Riders happened. I like Zero Gravity more, the controls are simpler and the story is less shonen sports anime. I do not enjoy sports anime. So then, we got to play the Sonic 06 demo at the gaming store. Multiple times even. And you know what? This was the Sonic I wanted. Top tier level design, slightly floaty but nice controls, and the Kingdom Valley music is legendary. However, since none of us had an Xbox 360/PS3, we kinda had a gaming store where you could use $2 to play a game. If you did not have the required consoles, it would help a lot. Also at the 2006 Arcadia Festival.
Bienvenue à Arcadia, 3 jours de jeu en cours. Bienvenue à Arcadia, 3 jours de jeu en cours.
There was a contest to win a cap for people who had the best time in the demo. That's literally how much hype there was. And yes, the first Sonic 06 speedrun was in Montreal. French. Either way, the game got released and it all went wrong! From review scores to angry YouTubers, everyone was mad. Including me, of course. Even when I pumped my $2 and tried it for myself, the super speed sections and the fact that I did not know how to save destroyed any kind of interest I had. And I saw also all of the cutscenes on YouTube, and it just made me sad. All hope was lost, so everyone was making fun of Sonic. I was a proud Sonic defender who defended Sonic the same way I defended the GameCube. Yes, I defended the GameCube and you fricks better thank me for it. Either way, Sonic and the Secret Rings came out and everyone kinda enjoyed it. So I guess it is a happy ending after all, sort of. Unfortunately, while that was going on, I had to deal with a lot of other disappointments. Legend of Zelda: Ocarina of Time is a very well regarded Zelda game by critics for many reasons. But the thing with the internet culture is that it developed a hate base, a fan base full of Zelda fans that were sick of hearing about it. It showed up on way too many top 100 lists, and even Screw Attack praised it a bit too much. So yeah, we were kind of angry. So when The Legend of Zelda Twilight Princess was announced, everyone was hyped. Wind Waker and Majora's Mask were very different. We knew that Twilight Princess would mix things up. So then, one E3 later, the wolf thing happened, and everyone knew this game wouldn't be Ocarina of Time 2.0. Right? So I got Twilight Princess at launch before I got the Wii. The whole Wii launch itself was really interesting and intense. Like, it took us a few days and many gaming stores before we got one. So I popped in Zelda Twilight Princess and the start in the first dungeon was kinda cool. But then I realized something. After 2 years of hype, this was just Ocarina of Time 2.0 with a few wolf sections for the launch of the Wii. While I enjoyed the presence of Midna and the motion controls, the game got so boring to my teenage self after a while. It had very few bits of creativity, but compared to Wind Waker, it was one heck of a disappointment. Like, I understand what Nintendo was doing, but I needed more creativity. More interesting ideas, which was basically what Wii Sports was. I played Wii Sports way more than I ever did Twilight Princess, and for good reasons. But then the insult to the injury came in the form of Okami, a PS2 exclusive that had colorful graphics, great ideas that really involved the paintbrush mechanic, and felt more interesting than any other Ocarina of Time like. And it was all done on 2000 hardware. Wow. Just wow. 2006 me hated Twilight Princess, while 2024 me, not so much. The thing about Okami is that the first part of the game is outstanding, but the second part has Issun being even more pervy, while the writing agrees with him. I feel like the game should have stopped after the first arc. It's a story of its time before Hideki Kamiya realized that women are people. That said, Amaterasu has no gender in the Japanese version, but is a goddess in the American version, so she got lesbian vibes? Meanwhile, Twilight Princess has aged fine. It's a dark fantasy fable that's enjoyable on its own. While it is flawed, it overstays less its welcome, unlike Okami. But hey, at least Twilight Princess has gained a fandom and eventually got appreciated, so that's fine enough. I still like Skyward Sword a lot more, and even then, it's not that great. Too bad there was another company who had a Wii game at launch and that somehow managed to disappoint me. Ubisoft, yay! I played the OG Rayman on PC and honestly I had a lot of fun with it, but Rayman 2 is kind of the holy grail of the Rayman franchise and I kind of loved it for that. I'm not sure which version to pick though. Maybe the Dreamcast version because it's like 60 FPS, or maybe the PS2 version because it had Zubworld and a lot of new content. Either way, I don't care, I got both. I also quite enjoyed Rayman 3, even though the humor is kinda mid to me. It's a mashup of the most generic Fairly Odd Parents, SpongeBob, Family Guy, Ratchet and Clank humor, but somehow less funny to me. I enjoy Sonic Boom a lot. It's a French Sonic comedy with a very specific kind of French humor, but I can also acknowledge that it has a lot of flaws. As for Rayman 3, it just does not make me laugh at all. That includes the saddest Zelda reference I've ever seen in a video game.
Mais enfin, qu'est-ce qui se passe? Vous pourriez pas faire un peu moins de bruit, non?
Et la fée, va voir chez Zelda si j'y suis!
Ha! Only the Big Bang Theory Mario 64 episode can top it in terms of unfunny, in my opinion. Either way, Michel Ancel, who was working on Beyond Good and Evil at the time, also didn't like Rayman 3's humor a lot. So he worked more closely on Rayman 4, which involved evil bunnies, and had so much fun with the Wiimote it became a minigame collection. What the Nintendo Power issue involving the game promised was a ton of minigames, platforming levels, many parody cutscenes, a customizable room for Rayman, and heavily involved multiplayer, as well as pretty graphics. It looked as interesting as Zelda Twilight Princess, and I got to play the light gun stage at the Arcadia Festival. While the graphics were not as detailed as in the screenshot, it looked really amazing. And Legit played amazing too. We even got a Rabbids sticker after playing the game. So while Zelda Twilight Princess and Sonic 06 kinda disappointed me, I was expecting a lot more for Rayman. So I rented the game, it all began as expected, and it legit is some very solid fun. The humor is actually funny, because I have a tendency to prefer slapstick humor over cynicism, and as a whole it used the Wiimote very well. But here's the thing, all of the cool features that Ubisoft promised weren't really there, and you can barely play any of the games in multiplayer mode. Like even Sonic 06 has more multiplayer features, and honestly it's kind of fun. It's just that if you're a good person, you won't play as Silver, right? Either way, Rayman Raving Rabbids was a big disappointment. While the disappointment might not have been as intense as Sonic 06 or even Zelda Twilight Princess, it still proves that Ubisoft, they just can't promise things. And the worst part is that in the sequels, instead of focusing more on the cut elements from the previous game, they decided to focus more on the Rabbids. While yes, I enjoy seeing these dumb critters waddle about, I can't help but think about what it could have been. Well, at the very least we got some nice 2D Rayman games. Oops, Michel Ancel left the company. So Rayman is only there in the Mario plus Rabbids DLC. So all I have to say for that is thanks Ubisoft for being the worst. It's not like I have bought any of your games since 2014 though. So take that with a grain of salt. Either way, after those experiences, I've stopped hyping games up. Like, I will buy new titles from time to time, but don't expect me to be all like, but the moral of the story is, A. Companies kinda suck and overhype video games a bit too much in my opinion. And B. The culture about typing video games is just not really a good thing. It's very toxic honestly. So I would like you to calm down and just think about it. Not everything will be done the way you expect, And you should take your time to make a decision before purchasing a game. So yeah, hype culture bad, thinking about stuff before buying it good. Either way, thank you for watching this video, please like and subscribe, and have fun in the comments. Bye bye!